Hi everyone, my name is Steph. This is the Novelty Corner and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a Kindle Unlimited update for you and I have not filmed one of these since July. How did that happen? I don't even know if my list is accurate. I tried to go through it and double check it last night, but I'm pretty sure I'm missing a bunch of stuff because I know I had a few slow months where I wasn't reading anything from Kindle Unlimited, but my list feels rather short. So anyway, I have about 20 books that I have read and returned, and I also have 18 books I think currently out on KU. So I thought I would just go through them. I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time talking about the books that I've read because I've reviewed all of them in some form or another. We're going to dive into it. We're going to start with the books that I've read and returned, and then if you want to jump ahead to what's currently out on my TBR, there'll be a timestamp listed down below. These are also in no particular order. In fact, most of them are probably in the order of most recently read and returned because they were at the top of the list. So there was a stack of books that I recently read for the KU Sports Holiday Romance reading vlog that I did as a collaboration with B. So there was Christmas Cupid by Ilsa Madden-Mills, which was a hockey romance, Jingle Devil by Melissa Ivers, which was also a hockey romance and a DNF, Season's Schemings by Katie Bailey, a hockey romance, Santa's Sack by C.H. James, which is a DNF, and this was a football romance. Wasn't a fan of this one. Dirty Christmas by Mira Lynn Kelly, which I loved. I thought this was such a sweet hockey adjacent romance holiday novella. It was just really fun. And Get Frosted by Amy Aislin, which is part of a series of connected standalone books by multiple authors based around a small town that is a very holiday themed town. And I thoroughly enjoyed this one. It was an hockey romance between two former hockey players. This was my favorite of the bunch, and I will be going back to read more books in this series as soon as I can. Then diving into some other books, I read Merry Christmas Cupid and Holiday Heartstrings by N.R. Walker, which is a series of Christmas themed romances. They're great. They're small town, just fun and very festive. And N.R. Walker's writing style is very easy to read. I read Unhinged by Vera Valentine, which is colloquially known as the door erotic romance story. If you know, you know. I have read 3 more books in the Holy Night series by Jacquot, The Labor Day Chronicles, Home for the Holidays, and Midnight Drop. All of them have been really good. Of the 3 of them, my favorite has been Midnight Drop, which I read last week and was in my Books Beside My Bed video, if you want to know more about that particular story, but I really enjoyed this one. It's not my favorite in the series, but it's up there in sort of the top 3. I also read Meet Your Match by Kandi Steiner, which I think is my first Kandi Steiner book, possibly. I can't remember. Anyway, it's a hockey romance. I read Trade Deadline by Jodi Oliver. Again, this is a hockey romance. This one is an hockey romance, and it was very sweet. I have Sawyer and Connell by Samantha Whiskey, which are part of the Carolina Reapers series. It's a hockey romance series. So far, I've enjoyed most of the books that I've read by Samantha Whiskey that are set in her hockey universe, and they've been rather enjoyable. I read Play Your Part by Kathryn Kincaid, which I'm going to admit I can barely remember. It was a hockey romance, so it was probably fine, just not a standout. I read Second Chance with the Demon by Chace Verity, which I don't know if that was a new release or just the one that I hadn't read yet. I can't remember. Anyway, it's Chace Verity. It's part of her Deal with the Demon universe. Also very fun. I would have picked it up in October, and these books are just great to read when you're in the mood for paranormal romance because they're queer and fun and just delightful. Oh, I remember this one. Hang on. This one is the demon is something to do with fire. Is she an Ifrit? She might be an Ifrit. Anyway, it was fun. I really enjoyed this one. I also read Love Bites Volume 1 by Kat Giraldo. This was my first foray into Kat Giraldo's work, and this was a series of short paranormal / monsterish erotic romance stories. Very fun to read when you are in the mood for that kind of thing. Lots of different representation, lots of different paranormal creatures. Really enjoyable. I also read another book called Deal with a Demon. This one is by Amy Wright. I read this for the Australian Readathon. Amy Wright is an Australian author. This one was really fun and cute. I read Hollow by C.M. Nascosta, which is not my favorite of C.M. Nascosta's works. It is 2 Headless Horseman stories. Yeah, 2 Headless Horseman stories. I read Not Dating Material by Saxon James. Again, I just love Saxon James books. This is an contemporary romance. Treble by Rilsey Adams, which was a black love romance. It was great. It's novella length. And then I also read Wild Pitch and Outfield Assist by Kat Giraldo, which are baseball romances. Wild Pitch is about 2 people who play on the same team. The heroine is the first woman called up to a major league team. She's a pitcher, and this is an age gap romance. It was just delightful. Both the hero and the heroine in the story are bisexual, and then Outfield Assist is a polyamorous relationship between a coach, the son of another coach of the team, and also one of the players. Really great. I'm definitely intrigued to read more of Kate Giraldo's backlist this year because I've just really enjoyed their writing. Which brings me to what I currently have on loan, working from newest on the list to longest on the list. There is Holiday Hat Trick by MJ Fields. This is a Why Choose Holiday hockey romance. Hopefully I'll read it before the end of December, in which case I might just put it back onto my wish list and then read it next year. Ablaze by A.H. Cunningham, which I believe is black love and polyam, and I've heard a lot of people talk about this book and I'm really excited to read it. I just haven't got to it yet. I have Worth It by Lady Marie. Again, I'm pretty sure this is one that all of my friends have been recommending or have on their TBR list. So I am intrigued to get to that one as well because I have not read Lady Marie yet and I've only heard good things. I have Kicking It with the Winger by T.L. Hamilton. This is a hockey romance. I can't remember why I put it on here except for the fact that it's a hockey romance. I have Monster Pucker by Cleo Evans and Ashley Bennett. This one is going to be a buddy read that I do in January, so stay tuned, you'll hear about it then. Rules of Our Own by J. Wilder, which is a hockey romance book. Are we sensing a theme here? I have a box set of the Texting series by Tegan Hunter. You guys know I've been down at Tegan Hunter rabbit hole a little bit this year and I really enjoyed her writing, so I would like to continue and read the Texting series because ironically this is the series that I actually associate with Tegan Hunter. Even though I've only read the first book, this was the series, like I can vividly remember when the first book in this series came out. I remember the cover being released. I remember all of it. I didn't read it at the time, but I remember it. So this is, I mean, now I associate her with hockey books, but this is the series that initially I recognized her name from. I have Puppuccino by Alison Temple, which is Bold Brew Book 2. I've read various books throughout this series. Again, this is another interconnected standalone series by various authors. I'm slowly working my way through them. I have Fury by Anna Hackett. I'm a little bit behind on Anna Hackett's releases because she basically comes out with one a month, but I am intrigued to read this one because this is a fake dating workplace romance something. I'm sure it's romantic suspense, so stay tuned. I have Make Me Stay by Annabeth Albert. This is the third book in the, oh God, I can't remember what the series is called. Anyway, it's a small town romance series I have been reading. I've read the first two books. I would like to get to this one. I have Chances by Lee Jacquot. This has been on here for ages because I think this one is potentially like a superhero or a supervillain sort of style story. I just want to read it. It's also a novel rather than a novella, so I'm curious to see how I go with Lee Jacquot's writing in a longer form. I have Scoreless Game by Anna Szabo and L.A. Witt, which admittedly I'm keeping on here, probably because this is like a break in case of emergency book. I loved Rookie Mistake by the two of them. It's an hockey romance. I just want to have it sitting here for when I just know I want to read it. Also, it's quite long, so I have to have time to do that. And really the second half of the year has not been conducive to really long books. I have The Refiner by Christy Marie. Again, this one is on here just because I want to come back to this series. This is a series that I started in 2022. I read the first book and I have been meaning to read this book. I just have not gotten here yet. So it's just staying there until I get to it. And then I also have Spec Ops by Craig Allinson, which is part of a series that Brie from In Love and Words husband JT had recommended to me. I read the first book and I just have not come back to read the second book. I'm keeping it on here till I read it. Like it's not moving until it gets read. So that is my current update for KU. I did mention in another video this week, if you haven't seen it already, I'll leave it on the screen, that I'm going to be sort of trying to really focus on reading my unread digital TBR next year, and I'm going to have a really big focus on one, reading through my physical TBR because I want to get those books, I want to get that number down, but also making sure that I'm prioritizing my digital reads. And to that end, every month I'm going to prioritize reading the oldest book on my KU TBR. So Spec Ops will get read in January. That's just going to happen. But I figure that way because I tend to turn over a lot of KU books that I recently borrow. I do keep things on here that I do want to read. I just don't know when I'm going to have time to read them. So I'm going to make that a priority next year. In the comments, I'd love to know if you've read any of these books or what your thoughts are on them, or if there is a book that I currently have out that you would like to see me read and review sooner rather than later. Feel free to let me know which book that is down below. Otherwise, if you want to let me know that you're here but you don't want to leave a comment, feel free to leave a book stack emoji. I hope that wherever you're around the world, you're staying safe and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye everyone.